I'll write emails and then not write any to my list for a while, and I'll get, several people emailing me saying, hey, when are you going to email your list again? I haven't heard anything for a while.
Hey, podcast listener, you're about to discover insider tips, tricks, and secrets to making more sales and converting more prospects into customers with email marketing. For more information about the Email Marketing Podcast or the Autoresponder Guide, go to dropdeadcopy.com/podcast. It's John McIntyre here, the Autoresponder Guy, and it's time for episode 86 of the McMethod Email Marketing Podcast, where you'll discover how to make money every time you send your list. And really what this is about is it's not just email. Okay, what I've realized is that anyone who's doing email marketing is really just doing marketing. And they're in the business of getting more customers. So that's why they're here. So that's why you're here. It's not just about email. It's about getting more customers with less time, with less energy spent, with less money spent, so you can make more money, make more profit, and do whatever you wish to do with that. Now, today I'll be talking to Matt Trainer. Now, Matt's a very interesting character. He was recommended to me by one other guy, Dan Meredith, actually, which you might have seen me do the videos with him on the Titans conference. And anyway, Matt was a recommendation from Dan. And I wasn't really aware of who Matt was or what he did. And it turns out this guy has just done a whole bunch of interesting stuff, including he wrote copy for Frank Kern's first launch. Okay, so he started, I don't know if that was his first job, but he did he's done some crazy stuff like that. He's written copy for some of the biggest guys in the industry. He's got a bunch of his own stuff going on, including a huge SEO company. And, so we jumped on the phone and talked about email copywriting, because it turns out email copywriting is his passion. And so what I got him to talk about and to divulge was some of the mistakes that people make when they're doing their emails, and some of the opportunities that are available, especially in the corporate world, to do better email marketing. So this is a great episode for any consultants, anyone who's sort of working with clients, a freelancer, and wants to step up their game and work with bigger clients. But it's also a great episode for anyone who wants to just get more from their email list. So yeah, to get the show notes for this episode of the Email Marketing Podcast, go to themcmethod.com/86. Now, this week's McMaster's Insight of the Week is a very interesting, I like this one. This is a great topic. Here's the thing. Passion versus get really good at something. The reason I mention this is a couple of days ago, I had lunch with a friend here in Thailand, and he's in this sort of tricky situation where he loves surfing. Really, really loves surfing, okay? But he also wants to do business. So he's in this sort of catch-22. He's like, well, do I go and just focus 100% on business, or do I surf? I can't do both, because he was recently, living down by the beach, and he said he didn't get any work. He got a little bit of work done, but it was a bit hard, a bit difficult to focus on getting better at surfing and getting better at business. And what I tried to explain to him over lunch was that you kind of got to get to a point where, just to step back, he went on about a lot how he wanted to do something that he loved. He couldn't do something that he wasn't passionate about. And that's a challenge. I felt like that. I think anyone who's gotten into business, gotten into the online game, feels a bit like, they want to do something that they're passionate about. And that's great. It's definitely something to keep in mind. But there's an interesting, a philosophical question here, or an issue that you might want to think about if this sounds a bit like you. And this is thinking about passion. What if you gave up the idea of needing to do something you were passionate about and decided you were just going to become really, really good at something, and that the passion was going to come along after the fact? Because there's something interesting happens. When you go and get really good at something, you start to enjoy it. And I think that, I found for myself, the more I try and seek out that, I just want to do what I'm passionate about, and I'm going to refuse to do what I'm not passionate about, that doesn't actually help me move towards the life where I'm doing something that I'm passionate about, okay? It's sort of like when you focus on trying to live a happy life, life's really not that happy. It's kind of like life's easy, life's hard, when you try to live it the easy way. Life's easy when you live it the hard way. It's very much like that. If you want to find the passion, really enjoy what you do, I think you have to really get good at something, and the passion will come. And so for my friend at this lunch, I was trying to explain that surfing, are you really going to care that much about that in 5 years, 10 years' time? I'm not saying stop surfing. I'm saying put it to the side for a bit. And instead of trying to become an elite level surfer, which I think he sort of wants to get to that level, business is going to be a much longer term thing. You really got to think about in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, 20 years' time, what's 2040 you? What's you in 2040 going to think about what you're doing today? Is he or she going to be thinking, man, you should have worked harder? Or is he going to think, well, you should have gone surfing? That's a question you have to answer for yourself. So anyway, the reason I bring this up is because we've been talking about this with a few people, and it's a big issue. It's a big issue, and really something you've got to resolve for yourself. And I feel like I'm starting to resolve that for me. And what I realized for me, just to be a bit honest here, is that sometimes I do find it hard to go to work. I'm thinking, man, here I am in Thailand. and I want to go and I'm working in a coffee shop, for example, say, and I'm like, well, man, I don't really want to be here. I want to be riding a motorcycle, or I want to be traveling. I read that 4-hour work week book, and what am I doing here in this coffee shop? And the more I thought like that, obviously the more depressed I got, and I just really wasn't happy. I was always in conflict. And something I've realized for myself recently, and this is just through a lot of thinking and a lot of just taking time to figure this out for myself, was that I just love to get in the ring and take some swings. I love to work, and it's not so much about getting to a specific destination, though that's part of it. It's very much about just getting up and doing something every day. My passion, I think, in many ways is to be growing and to be going somewhere and to be just doing stuff that's exciting. Obviously, it's great to get somewhere, but it's this classic cliche of it's about the journey, not the destination. So anyway, that's today's McMaster's Insight of the Week. I hope this wasn't too much rambling. This is a topic I'm very passionate about. Anyway, if you have questions about this, I love to talk about this. So shoot me an email if you want, john@themcmethod.com. Anyway, if you want to hear more about McMaster's, McMaster's is a private training community I've got. There is a forum where you can talk to me, talk to the other members, get advice. It's really about getting more customers, making more money from them, all that stuff. There's training stuff in there. More details at themcmethod.com/McMasters. Now, that's it for now. Let's get into this interview with Mr. Matt Trainer. It's John McIntyre here, the autoresponder guy. I'm here with Matt Trainer. Now, Matt Trainer is the marketing moron, or that's his website, themarketingmoron.com. Now, I was introduced to Matt. We met a while back. He signed up to the list, and we chatted a bit. And then he recently got introduced by a friend of mine, Dan Meredith, who you might have seen in the latest Titans of Direct Response wrap-up videos. And I think Dan was saying, man, you got to get this guy on the podcast. He is a boss. So sent him an email and told him to get on the podcast, and here we are. So we're going to talk about some of what he's up to, which is a lot of stuff. We're just chatting about it. So, Matt, how you doing, man?
I'm awesome, man. How you doing?
Pretty fantastic. Pretty good. So before we talk about some of the content, we're going to talk about email copywriting. You said it was your passion. It's how you make the most money, and that's really what's working for you the best. But before we get in, we talk about how you do that, what's working, all that stuff. But before we do that, can you give the listener sort of a bit of a background on who you are, what you do? Yeah, sell yourself, man. This is the time to do it. I know you said it's not really a thing to toot your own horn, but this is the time to do it.
Yeah, I'm not good at it. I've done a lot of stuff. I started internet marketing before I even knew that's what I was doing back in 98, 99. And back then I was just trying to get people's eyeballs and stuff, and started doing something that later became search engine optimization, SEO. I didn't, there wasn't a name for it then. It was just, hacking stuff basically. And through the years, got a pretty good reputation for building really high-quality websites, and then ended up being sort of a go-to person in Hollywood for television and a lot of television shows and celebrity websites. So I built Paris Hilton's first website. I built drphil.com. I built mtv.com back in 2004. Did World Poker Tour's websites. A lot of big-name people. Back in the day, website development was a really big, expensive thing, when I could charge hundreds of thousands of dollars for a website. And then as that business became commoditized and dried up the really big money, I met Frank Kern down in Orlando at an event at the bar of all places. And I really had no idea who he was, but we got to talk about stuff, and he heard about all the celebrity websites I've done and liked my work. And he really drugged me into the internet marketing world. And I just happened to live not too far down the road from him. And he convinced me to move to La Jolla, California. And I lived there as his next door neighbor for about 6 years, I guess. And so through that,
what's it like having Frank Kern as your neighbor?
It's crazy, man. He's an interesting dude, man.
Yeah.
And I owe a lot to him because he really put me into the whole internet marketing world in a big way. Yeah, it was quite interesting seeing all the people that come and go, and then I helped him with all of his, back in the day with Mass Control launch, Mass Control 1, Mass Control 2, and then List Control and all that stuff, I was the one that did a lot of the website management and all that kind of stuff, helped him with the back end systems, and that sort of put me on the map. And from there, I've done it all. I have had a very large PPC management company for a while. Had a media buy company for a while. Just got sick of the client business. Grew my SEO company up to a very large company that does very, very big numbers for Fortune 100 companies, doing lead gen for them. That's a cool business and everything, but it's boring as shit. So I really enjoy email. And through the years, I've watched Frank. He wrote email copy, and Frank got a hold of a book that I wrote while back, and he said, "Man, you should write email copy," because he said I was a good storyteller. So he taught me a little bit about how to shorten up my copy, and then over the years, I just got really good at it. It made sense to me. So I enjoy email writing more than anything, even though I have several successful businesses. It's I just like it. It's my creative outlet, basically. So
Nice, man.
yeah, got a lot of stuff going on here, and then kind of, I hate to be like the jack of all trades, but that's me. So
Well, what they say, I mean, you want to be like a successful guy in business, you really got to be the generalist, not the technician. Hire all those people who are good at one thing, but then be the jack of all trades, so you can tell them what to do.
yeah, so I can tell them how much they all suck and how much they got to fix it.
Exactly, man. Exactly. So let's talk about email. And you mentioned that email is making you the most money. That's what's really working for you. So tell me about that. What's the I mean, how are you using email to make money, and why is it working so well?
It works well for me just because I'm really, really raw. I mean, I tell some really gut-wrenching stories that are 100% true, and I mostly dive into my failures more than anything, and people just love it. And I just have a knack for telling stories, and I like being able to be open and honest and very, very raw. Sometimes I piss a lot of people off, sometimes people love it, but no matter what, people read my emails, and I get very, very high open rates compared to most of the industry. And I'll write emails and then not write any to my list for a while, and then I'll get several people emailing me saying, "Hey, when are you going to email your list again? I haven't heard anything from you in a while." And to me, that just tells me I'm doing it the right way, because I don't know if anybody else gets that, but I think it's a pretty rare thing that you actually get emails from people requesting more email from you.
And they know it's you just emailing the list. That's the funny part.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, you're the autoresponder guy, and I've not been very good with autoresponders. It just doesn't suit my style. So pretty much every email I do is a broadcast now, just a one-off broadcast, and just because my stuff is, I see something in the news or something on TV or something current or something in my own life that I just screwed up on really badly, and then so I try to make a lesson out of it, and it's all very current. So I've not found a solid way to do that with autoresponders yet. I'm sure it's possible, but I just haven't done it. So,
and one challenge I've had with it is because the whole reason I didn't do the broadcast thing that you're doing, a lot of people are doing, is that I just wanted to be able to take off for 2 months and have emails keep going out. And I thought, why would I, why write emails and just send them once when I can just keep sending them over again? But then the downside of that is now if I have because I'll have a cool idea or something that I want to email everyone about, and I don't just want to email the people who finish the autoresponder, because then I'd miss a whole bunch of people who are in the middle of it. So then what ends up happening is I end up emailing. Some people get 2 emails in a day, sometimes 3 if I go a little bit crazy. And so they'll get the broadcast, which is some timely story that's just happened, and they'll get the autoresponder email. And I've never had anyone really complain about it so much as just say, well, does this actually work for you? People are surprised. They don't. Like, they're used to daily emails, so then they assume, John sends a lot of emails, and when I send 2, instead of complaining, they're just a bit like, whoa, like, if you're doing daily and it works, maybe I should send 2 emails a day. So, but then, I think it does piss some people off.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It's just, I don't know. I for some reason, I'd rather be a little bit more mysterious for some reason. Maybe it's an ego thing or something, than try to put together autoresponders.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is this just for your main site? So someone goes to themarketingmoron.com, reads your blog or the different content you've got on there and signs up to that list? Or are you using this in different sales funnels that you've built?
Yeah, I'm referring just to my main marketing list from the Marketing Moron. On my other businesses, I have a health supplement company too that we do really well, and we do have autoresponders in that. It's just they're way less personal and way less story than what I'm talking about. So it's funny because in my regular, quote unquote, regular businesses, I do use autoresponders because I don't really like those businesses. I don't want to babysit them. So, but for marketing, I'm really passionate about it, and for some reason, the just autoresponders in that, it just doesn't feel passionate to me. I
Yeah.
treat it as an art form more than anything, which might sound weird, but
Oh, it's good fun. I mean, there are times, and I go through stages personally. Like, I have a day when, a couple days when, well, I'll go through like maybe a stage. It's probably more like a few weeks or a month or something where I just love writing emails, and I'm, like I look forward. That's one of the highlights of the day. Waking up in the morning and having like I guess a creative think about what crazy thing could I write about today and make it into an email. But then other times it's just going through the motions, and
yeah.
it's not a passion. It's not that exciting, but it's just like, well, I know this is good for the business, and I know this is part of building the list, so well, I'll do it. But yeah. So do you find you use a different strategy if you're like it sounds like you do with the supplement company? You're going to use autoresponders, but with your personal brands, you're just using you. That's where the art form comes in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So what would you suggest? I mean, the emails out there, you've said you've seen, like you follow people who are good at email, but you said there's a lot of people who aren't. Like there's a lot of basically shitty emails out there, and bad email marketers out there. So what do you think that they're doing wrong that someone listening to this could sort of learn from and use to improve their own emails?
Well, the best explanation I've ever heard of that is by Ben Settle, and he said people treat their. Wait, who was it? Him that said it? Maybe it was me that said it.
Quoting yourself.
Maybe it was. I can't remember. I don't want to come off as my original idea if I heard it somewhere. So just in case it was somebody's idea, I think I might have heard it from Ben Settle. But now I think about it, it might have been my idea. But I've been teaching for a while that in general, internet marketers treat their email lists like an infomercial. And, it's just hype, buy, and, I don't recall anybody wanting to stay up at night to catch the next infomercial,
Mm-hmm.
So there's no engagement there. And it obviously works, but, man, there's a much deeper way to do it. So that model of just hype, here's the next video, check out this new video. If I ever see another email, that's whenever I get off somebody's list. So if I see a subject line that says, check out the video, I immediately unsubscribe because that's just lame. So for me, it's all really more about engagement and being interesting. I pride myself having very, very interesting subject lines that no matter what, you're going to open it. You may not like what you read, but you're sure as shit going to open it.
Yeah.
So I just think everybody just is lazy and not very creative.
Yeah, I mean, there's an element here where there's a launch going off right now. I think it's Ryan Dice. It'll be over by the time this podcast goes live. But there's there's a launch. So everyone's mailing for this product. And what's funny is, a couple of years ago, before I'd, sort of gotten into this, I would have looked at those emails and thought, why are these emails good? Really try to deconstruct them. And now I've had, got some experience and spoken to a few guys who've got a lot more experience than I have. I look at a lot of those emails and they're really pretty average. Like they're not bad emails, but most of them are pretty damn average. They're not copywriters, and it looks like they've just sort of jumped into Aweber or Infusionsoft or whatever they are and just sort of banged something out really quickly. It's made me realize that a lot of these guys, a lot of these products depend on JVs. They don't depend on good copy. So you've really got to be careful. A lot of people might get into that thing where they think, I can just do what the guru is doing and, I'll make money. But no, it's not as simple as that. If you don't have those JV relationships, well, no, you can't do that. You're going to have to start to, differentiate by having good copy.
That's a good point, yeah, because a lot of those guys count on their JVs being good copywriters, and their quote-unquote wipe copy they send is usually crap. I mean, you never see a good copy from any of these launches that's worth shit. It's always that same hype stuff.
Exactly. It's like they're just churning them out. And even you get a sales letter that's halfway decent, but you give it to you get 5 JV partners who have, they've got incredible relationships with their list. It doesn't matter what the sales letter's like. It could be a crappy sales letter, but because the guy who's emailing his list has, great rapport with that list, they're just going to buy it because you told them to buy it.
Right, exactly. Yep.
So it's kind of like there's a lot of this hoorah in, I guess, the internet marketing world where it's sort of hard to see. Until you get behind the scenes, it's very hard to see how behind the scenes actually works.
Yep. That's why I've been lucky, because I've been behind the scenes at a lot of big businesses, including big corporate America stuff, too. And, man, you want to talk about incompetent. Jeez. I mean, internet marketers are one thing, but at least internet marketers are trying to learn direct response. Man, corporate America, corporate around the world, they're just terrible with what they do.
Yeah.
I do a lot of corporate consulting, and I charge a hell of a lot of money for corporate consulting, but 90% of the time plus, I craft one email and have them mail it to my list, and they make like 10 times back what my consulting fee was, just because they suck so bad.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they don't ever follow up and do what I told them to do, so... Crazy.
It's kind of funny, man. Like it's when you go, like, I remember back when I had a job, it's easy to kind of look at the guys who own these companies, whether it's corporates or small-time entrepreneurs, that sort of thing. And it's sometimes just, you think they've got it all figured out. The business is just perfect. It's a perfectly oiled machine, and everything just works. And then you kind of get into it, and you realize that they're just as bad as everyone. Like, there's so much stuff that doesn't happen that should happen. It's messy.
Yes, this is my favorite story I tell about my corporate consulting. So I went in and looked at this company. It was exactly what you're saying. Their website, super slick. It was all Ajax ran, and like they did cool stuff whenever you signed up and registered. So I thought I was going to come into a very sophisticated company because they obviously had worked on their funnel. But then I got in there and I found out that their entire list, which was like 3 million people or something, was all in a spreadsheet. And they never mailed the list ever, not once. And
Damn.
so I asked them why they didn't ever email their lists, and because they were collecting it on the homepage, and they said, well, if they came to our site and put in their email and then looked at what we had and didn't buy it, then they don't want it, right? So what they're saying is they sent that, so they had them opt in and emailed them a coupon code or whatever to buy the product, and that was it. And if they didn't buy right then, they figured the customer wasn't interested.
So what'd you do, man? How did you fix this problem for them?
Believe. Oh, I set up an eye contact account with them, imported their list, mailed it, and they made like $300,000 in one email.
Nice, man. So what happens, like, in that situation? They say that they've got a coupon code, and they're like, well, people probably just aren't that interested in this. And when you approach that problem, you think, well, I got to write an email for them that's going to get them better results. How do you approach that? What sort of email do you write for them?
That one was real simple. I just told a little story about the site that the company I was working with is an online tutoring company, and their main push. So they do everything from math tutoring to guitar lessons and that kind of thing. So I just sent them an email that said, hey, we haven't heard from you a while and wanted to see if you wanted to check out our services again. Something really, really basic, and just told a little bit of a story about how one of the students had done well with his guitar lessons, and had impressed his teachers at school, basically. It was really, really short. It's only like, 2-3 really, really short paragraphs, and just killed it. Like
Nice,
80-some% open rate. Yeah.
80%.
Yeah, this is a while ago. I think it was well over 80%. May have been 85%.
Yeah. Just because these people had never heard from you guys.
Yeah, they'd never emailed them, except, they emailed them one time after they opted in. That was it.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. It makes you wonder how much of this stuff's out there. You get companies that have these lists that have these massively underutilized, assets that just aren't doing anything with it.
Oh, it's huge. Anybody that's good at email copy should definitely be trying to get corporate consulting gigs, because from all of my experience, I've worked with a lot of really big companies, and they all have the exact same problem. They have zero clue how to email their lists. They typically think that they're supposed to send out these goofy HTML newsletters, they're supposed to be all fancy designed and all that shit. And the content sucks, and they're using some crappy articles that they put in them, and it's terrible. That's what they think it's supposed to be. And I've never come across a gig in corporate consulting world that they knew what they were doing with this stuff.
Right.
So it's a massive opportunity for business, for sure.
I mean, so if there's someone listening to this, I reckon what they're going to want to know is, number one, how much can you charge a consulting client like that? And number two, how do you even find or get a consulting client like that? Because it's almost like maybe you can, but my first thought is it's a bit hard. You can't just email the CEO and be like, hey, man, can I write an email for you?
What I do, I have a lot of contacts, obviously, so I get people seeking out me. But if I was going to start over, I had nothing else, no contacts or anything, I'd just go on LinkedIn and start writing really creative emails to people. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
Tell a cool story in an email and get them to actually take action on an email you sent them, and that'll be enough right there. And dude, you can charge a hell of a lot of money. I usually charge $10,000 up front plus a percentage of whatever the revenue that comes in from it.
So if they decide to engage you, and you're saying they're like, all right, you send them an email, you got them interested, like, all right, let's do this, give us an email. You're like, all right, it's $10,000 plus 5% of the gross profit or something like that.
Yep. I usually get between 10 and 15% gross.
10 or 15% of the gross profit, right? That's so before they.
No, gross revenue.
Gross revenue.
because you don't want to go by profit because you don't have any idea what their
Right, right.
profit margin is, and you got to dig into the books and see what really profit is. So it makes it really complicated to figure that out.
Right, right. And one thing
So
I'm always curious about in this situation is if you go like, you say you do 15% of this gross revenue, and they're like, all right, we did three. I mean, obviously, let's say they did 300 grand in sales. You're like, well, in that case, for example, you might say, all right, well, that's a $45,000, commission. Do you email them? I had another guy I know, a friend of mine, who does similar stuff to this, and his thing is he calls them up after a month or two after the email's gone out and says, all right, how many sales you make? They tell me, he goes, all right, cool, that's $45,000. I'll send you an invoice. And they're like, cool. Is that how do you make sure someone pays you the whatever the commission is?
I usually set up. I have a little like one-page contract that I do with them. It's really short and simple. It's just an MOU, which is a memorandum of understanding. It's not any sort of detailed contract or anything, but it just lays out those stipulations really short and quick. And they sign up and send me money. And if they don't sign it, then I just don't do the work. So
Yeah, yeah.
I've never had an issue. When you're working with corporate America, it takes some time to get paid because they're not exactly fast. But I've never not been by big companies.
Interesting, man. And you saying you could do this so one email, you write one email for them and they'll pay 10 grand plus the commission for it.
Well, that was a unique case. I mean, I ended up doing a whole lot of consulting for them after that, and I still work with that company quite a bit with their SEO and all kinds of things. But that was just the one deal. But, I sent them through my own email marketing training, and now they have a staff that does email marketing. They still kind of suck at it, but they're doing much better than they used to do. So.
I can imagine, man. That's cool. What, are there any other war stories, man? What are any other cool stuff that you've done like that along those lines with emails and corporates or emails and gurus or...
Oh, man, I have a ton of stuff. I've got a bunch of bad stories, mostly.
Give me one of these bad ones, man. It's probably a cautionary tale at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I've learned over the years is especially when you're getting ready to do a broadcast, or even when you're setting up an autoresponder, an individual email in your sequence, always send a preview email from the system that's going to be mailing it. Because, man, I've seen so many times when it goes out funky, or you accidentally put some HTML in there when you're trying to do just plain text. And it can cause some serious issues. For a really, really horrible example that happened, it's been a long time ago, and Infusionsoft has since fixed their system. But we sent out a broadcast email to our list one time through Infusionsoft, and there was one little hidden character that was some goofy HTML code that we couldn't see. It's supposed to be plain text email. But what happened was, of course, we didn't send a preview to see what it was because we figured, it's just plain text. It's going to be fine. So we mailed the entire list of 700,000-800,000 people, and all that was sent in the list, it was completely blank email with nothing but a unsubscribe link. So, yeah,
Horrible.
So, everybody loves clicking on stuff in email, so the massive unsubscribers on the list. Really, really bad.
Yeah.
Always send a preview email. Check out what it's going to look like.
Yeah. I've had that problem before. I mean, nothing that bad, but sometimes you think the email looks fine, the links are going to work, that sort of thing. But if you send a test out, sometimes the links are 404 errors because you've got an extra character in there, so it's not even going to work. Like stuff like that, little stuff that's
right.
It's worth checking. But after you've done it for a couple emails, it's the sort of thing. I know me anyway. I'm just like, all right, whatever, just send it out. Instead of it's difficult to really be that guy who sends a test, checks it, clicks on the links, and really reviews it.
Yeah.
Especially if when you get a fast move, an entrepreneur or someone who's really trying to hustle, they're usually the sort of person who just wants to get stuff done and throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. And that's not the sort of person who's going to check the email before it goes out.
Yeah, and I'm typically that guy too, believe me. But man, I've just been burned so many times with that now, so I'm super paranoid.
Yeah. What else, man? We probably got time for one more. What's another big mistake that people have made?
Another big mistake I see all the time is not putting something in an email to click on. I understand some people like to do story-based emails, and especially with Andre's training, a lot of people doing serialized emails, and most people do it badly, but at least they're trying. The biggest thing I see a lot, people trying to say something like, hey, I got this thing coming, wait for tomorrow, and that's it. That's great and all. You can do open loops and build some curiosity, but people want to click on stuff. Give them something to click on. So I've learned over the years is, man, always try to monetize with something, even just if it's just in the PS, and completely take a hard right turn on a completely different subject in a PS and give them something to click on, even if it's a cool music video or some crazy cat video or something, just so you can get them used to clicking in your emails.
Absolutely, and there's also, I found with mine, I remember speaking to, I think it was Zach, I think his name's Zach, one of the guys from Office Autopilot, the postmaster. That's like a fancy name for the guy who does the deliverability. And he was saying that if you can get 2 replies to your email, you're pretty much straight into the inbox. And stuff like, so if you can get someone to click a link, all these like little engagement triggers as well. So you also, in that person's brain, if they click a link one day, they're more likely to click one the next day. But also to Google and Yahoo and the email providers, if people are clicking links in your emails, they're thinking, well, this emails must be pretty important. We better make sure that this person keeps getting it and it doesn't go to spam. So
right. Yeah, I figured that out a while ago. So that's why I built this automated bot that always went and opened up all my emails and clicked on them.
Really?
So my delivery would always be good. Yeah, well, they found out about that and they didn't like it. So
who's they? That's Google.
Google and Yahoo. Yeah, because we're doing it in mass volume. I used to be a very large bulk emailer, and I don't recommend that. It was cool for a little bit, but they didn't like it.
Interesting, man. That's good. That's smart. But they didn't like it, huh? It's no good. All right, dude. Well, we're right on time. But before we go, if the listener wants to find out more about you, maybe send you an email, maybe buy one of your products, or maybe just join your list. I know you sign them on there now. So subscribing saves kittens. Long story. I'll explain later. So,
the great thing about that is I never, ever explain later.
I've had this conversation with people before. They talk about open loops, and because I've done this in sales letters or emails before. You open a loop, you just never close it. So it's just.
Yep.
I don't know if I'd say that's unethical. It's a bit annoying. It's a bit exasperating because you're just playing with someone's brain psychology. But
yeah.
Yeah. Because people forget about it. You can mention something like the classic VSL thing, right? Is like, this is a fish, and the next few minutes I'm going to show you how this fish will get you laid more than anything else.
I hate that. I hate that. Yeah.
But even you could say something like that, and there might be no explanation for the fish later on in the video, and the person who's watching the video probably won't even know or won't even remember that there was even a fish.
Right, exactly. Yep.
So anyway, so if people do want to learn more about you, man, it's the marketingmoron.com, right?
Yep, The Marketing Moron. Make sure you put a "the" at the beginning. The Marketing Moron.
Because some moron
got
marketingmoron.com.
Yeah, some other moron squatting on marketingmoron.com and won't sell it to me no matter what. I've been trying to buy it for 10 years. So.
Nice, man. I got mine. I think I got the McMethod. It's the same problem. I'm like, man, the McMethod. So I was like, oh, McMethod? And I'm like, the McMethod. I've got a backorder on McMethod.com as well now. So like, same kind of deal, man. Someone else is sitting on it, and they're not selling it. So
yep.
Anyway, man. All right, Matt, man. Thanks for coming on and having a nice casual chat about email marketing.
Yeah, no problem, man. It's fun.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening. If you want to discover more insider tips, tricks, and secrets about driving sales with email marketing, sign up for daily email tips from the autoresponder guy. Go to dropdeadcopy.com/podcast. Sign up, confirm your email address, and I'll send you daily emails on how to improve your email marketing and make more sales via email. You'll find out why open rates don't matter and the 7-letter word that underlies all effective marketing and much more.